What if every amateur athlete had access to the same kind of coaching insights that elite pros enjoy? Well, today I'm joined by the CEO and co-founder of a company called SportAI. And they're on a mission to democratize high-performance coaching through the power of computer vision and artificial intelligence. From tennis to paddle and pickleball, SportAI is applying cutting-edge technology to unlock data-driven insights and everything from technique to tactics, all from simple video input. And most importantly, without any sensors. So Lauren is going to walk us through the company's B2B model and how it's already transforming thousands of courts around the world, how they're partnering with academies, brands, and even broadcasters to deliver personalised feedback, real-time analysis that supports both coaches and players. And also want to explore the growing appetite for smarter, more engaging sporting experiences and why equipment brands are leaning into AI for better R&D and customer personalisation, and how SportAI, how they're preparing to expand into other technical sports. So whether you are a tech leader, sport enthusiast, or simply curious about the intersection of AI and physical performance and where all this is heading, you're going to love this one. But enough scene setting from me. It's time to officially introduce you to my guest, Lauren, who's waiting to join us on the call right now. So a massive warm welcome to the show. Can you tell everyone listening a little about who you are and what you do?
Hey, yes, thanks for having me on the show. I'm Lauren Pedersen. I'm the CEO and co-founder of SportAI. And we are focusing on using computer vision, so AI, for technique and tactical analysis in sports.
And there is so much I want to talk with you about today, because having done a little research, a little Google of you, I noticed you've got a background as an NCAA Division 1 tennis player. You still play competitive tennis, so there's got to be a bit of an origin story there. So can you tell me a little bit more about that and that transition from athlete to founding a sports technology company? It sounds like there's a big story there.
Yeah, I definitely have some story to tell from that side. So I grew up in Wellington, New Zealand. I played lots of sports, like all the sports I could fit into a day I was into. So basketball and water polo. I was a black belt in Taekwondo when I was 13. So yeah. But tennis was the one I really kind of got into and ended up taking a scholarship to play Division 1 college tennis in the States. So I was in Washington, D.C. at American University for 4 years. And that was an amazing experience, and ended up, staying in the States for a couple more years, working actually first in some large advertising agencies in New York. And then I moved over to London for a few years and never stopped playing sports, right? So I was always playing sports the way through, and even through the start of my career, but then transitioned really into working in tech companies and moved over to Oslo 17 years ago, working with startup, scale-up tech companies that wanted to grow out from the Nordics into the wide world. And then 2 years ago, we founded SportAI, so myself with some of my co-founders. And I was finally able to kind of combine my passion for sports with my experience in building tech companies. And that's been a magical moment for me.
Fantastic. And for anybody hearing about SportAI for the first time, I believe it analyzes technique in real time and then feeds it back directly to the players. But can you just tell everyone listening a little bit more about SportAI, and most importantly, as this is a tech podcast, some of the technology behind it too?
Yeah, absolutely. So SportAI, we're a B2B company. So we work with leading sports organizations around the world. And at the beginning, particularly racket sports organizations, to enable them to have technique analysis and actually more tactical analysis now as well for sports. So an example is, today, if you take a tennis lesson, for example, anywhere in the world, and it might cost you, say, $100, and you might have a great coach, but if you had 3 or 4 great coaches looking at my serve, they would all give different feedback and there'd be no data to back it up. And we see the same thing kind of in the broadcast industry, where there's a lot of maybe ball tracking and some stats coming into Wimbledon when you're watching on TV, But when it comes to technique analysis, you're totally reliant on the commentator's own subjective opinion on his sort of backswing or his follow through or whatever. And that can be quite varying actually in quality. So we realized that with the power of computer vision, now taking in video, we can analyze what's happening in a video and we can track body movement and we can put data behind it. So you can compare your own technique, for example, to thousands of other players, or maybe just one player that you really want to emulate. Maybe it's Serena Williams or Roger Federer. So it's really that's kind of how we started out the company and what we're really focusing on.
Wow, absolutely love that. And again, doing a little research, I was reading how at SportAI, you're using technology to try and democratize access to some of the most advanced coaching tools for athletes out there. But tell me a little bit more about that mission that you're on there and why you created this.
Yeah, so, I mean, today, to get sort of data behind technique analysis or to get real kind of analysis when it comes to technique in sports, you almost have to be at that pro or elite level or have a lot of money, I would say. So, if you're a professional tennis player, you'll have a team of coaches, and one of those coaches might be kind of a performance analyst who is looking at the video of your game and might be manually tagging it or drawing on it to create the data that's needed to feed back to a player on how they can improve their performance. And we realized with the power of computer vision and AI advancements that now we could open this up to be available to everyone in the world, perhaps through either their local federations or academies or through those organizations that are driving sports forward around the world. So today, basically, like almost on a video, until now, you almost had to have sensors on the body to be able to track body movement. But that's extremely unscalable and impractical to have sensors strapped on the body or wearables for everyone who wants to play sports. But now you could take in video maybe from a mobile phone or from a camera mounted at a court, and then almost every pixel becomes like a sensor. So you can track the pixels around the shoulder movement, the wrist velocity, the contact point, the timing of the ball hit, and feed that data into a model that can start to understand what technique is and how you can compare to others.
I love that. And another thing I was reading is how you're passionate about the fact that AI can be used as a tool in a coach's toolkit when training athletes. So I'm curious, though, how do you see SportAI's technology complementing rather than replacing those human coaches out there? Because I think it's important to focus here. We're not talking about replacing anyone. It's a tool, isn't it?
Yeah, that's totally right. I mean, these tools are never going to replace that relationship a coach has with a player. I mean, the coach brings all that, everything from motivation and mental health and all these areas. So for us, it's a tool for coaches to be able to track performance and to be able to show kind of biomechanical analysis and statistics to players that hasn't been available for coaches before. It's been very difficult for them to document a lot of the things that they're trying to communicate with their players and to be able to document progression as well. So I can imagine, through some of the forward-leaning academies and federations around the world, they will enable their coaches to have maybe a coaching app that can have video capturing capabilities that will also have AI tools into it, such as SportAI, so that the coach can take snippets of video of the players, which they kind of often already do today while they're on court, but they'll be able to have data actually captured from those videos and analysis, which can help them and the player track progression and communicate in a clearer way around technique and tactical analysis. So it's really a tool for those coaches that we hope the large federations and academies are really going to lean into.
And I think it's also important to highlight that technology has always been a part of every athlete's training. But what specific changes do you think AI can bring, and how does it enhance accessibility to professional level insights? I mean, you mentioned a few moments ago how expensive some of these features have been traditionally, but what are you seeing here?
Yeah, I think in many cases you've been relying on actual people to be manually tagging videos, for example, up until now, which is extremely sort of unscalable and inexpensive. But there's two things that we're seeing now happening in the market. One is that we believe that cameras will be mounted at courts and training facilities and training fields all around the world. I think that will actually become default, so that when you go and you want to book a tennis court or a paddle or pickleball court, you'll say, okay, I want to book that court. And I also want to get the video of my game. I want to get all the highlights, analysis, statistics, all of these things that were previously only available to the pros are now going to be available at the grassroots level across all clubs. And that kind of technology not only adds, incredible sort of engaging experiences for players and, sort of data that can help performance, it also can be a new revenue stream for local clubs. So introducing this technology, I think players are wanting to be able to pay a few more dollars to have that type of technology or analysis after their game. And that can also fuel a whole new business model for a lot of local clubs. So that's one side that we see. And the other is that from this coaching perspective, we all know that coaches have a mobile phone in their pocket. We all know that they're often starting to take it out, to take videos and give examples to players to show them how they're hitting the ball, for example. But then to be able to have AI analysis as a tool built into those applications for coaches can be a real game changer. And again, that can be a new revenue stream also for coaching organizations.
And although we are talking about players, technology, and indeed coaches, you did say at the very beginning of our conversation today that SportAI is ultimately a B2B sports technology company. So can you tell me a bit more about who the tech is designed to serve and also how SportAI gives that flexibility to those companies that you're actually partnering with right now?
Yeah, absolutely. So we are totally B2B. We are really focused on being a great software provider, but we don't deliver our own consumer application, for example. So we are integrating with the companies that are offering either the cameras or video platforms that are being rolled out at these local clubs and academies around the world, so that the player can not only go on and book their court or their coaching session, but then can actually then get the video and the full analysis of their game through an integration between us and those camera or video providers. So that's one example. Another example really is these training academies or federations that have access to many, many clubs, many, many coaches all around the world. Some of those guys are really looking at how can we embrace AI? How can we improve both performance and engagement in the sports that we are responsible for? So we are working with them to, for example, roll out either coaching applications or ways that they can engage their users through video analysis. And the last segment, I guess, that we're really looking at is actually the equipment manufacturers and retailers. So today, I don't know if you're much of a tennis player, but it's very difficult, for example, tennis players or other sports players to know what's the right tennis racket that I should buy when you're wanting to buy a new racket, because there's a lot of head sizes and string tensions and weights and things that make it really confusing for a normal person or pretty much anyone to know what's right for them. So people typically end up either just asking a friend what they use, asking a coach, or buying like Roger Federer's racket, which, they really shouldn't, because no one plays like Roger Federer and it's not really designed for the average Joe. But what we see with the power of computer vision is that using the SportAI technology, a racket brand or retailer could ask a player to give a little snippet of them playing, and it's quite easy for our analysis, our software, to categorize kind of the level of the player and also look at things like power creation, spin creation, which essentially are elements that racket brands already develop rackets, different ranges to enable the consumer to meet those kind of requirements. It's just very difficult to match the player to the right racket, and that's where we're trying to bridge a gap there.
And SportAI does focus on racket sports, from tennis, paddle and pickleball to name but a few. But I'm curious, is there anything specific about these particular sports that make them particularly well suited for AI technology? Any trends or any reason why it's so much more useful in these areas?
I mean, SportAI, we've started with racket sports because of our kind of background and history and passion for these sports. But our ambition is to really build out the platform to be able to cater for very many sports around the world. So where we see there's a sweet spot on the technique analysis is any time where there's a player who trains over repetitive motion time and time again to improve. So if you think about that, that could be a serve or a forehand in tennis. But it could be, if you think about it, it could be batting in cricket or baseball. It could be a free throw in basketball. It could be a swing in golf. There's many areas where you are training over and over again, where we can collect data using computer vision and give feedback kind of relating to biomechanical analysis. So that's kind of how we've seen it forward. So right now, tennis, paddle, pickleball, these racket sports are great for us. But in the future, we really want to expand to those other sports as well.
And I was also reading that SportAI has announced partnerships with a wide range of partners there, from Matchy to Sharks. What do these customers do, and how do these collaborations differ? Are there any big differences there in how you work with them, how they use your technology?
Yeah, they definitely do. So Match is a great example. They're a Swedish founded company that is very well known for being the booking app for the racket sports clubs, certainly around Northern Europe and expanding around the world. I think they're one of the fastest growing kind of racket sports platforms in the world. So they manage around 15,000 courts worldwide, and 2,000 of them are now camera enabled. So they've rolled out what's called Matchy TV. And so you can now go in and say, okay, I want to book that court. And I also want to get all the video of my game. And now rolling out now, actually, with SportAI, you'll be able to get all the statistics from your game. You'll be able to get like highlights. So you'll say after the game, okay, you guys, you hit 270 shots in that session. Lauren, you hit 40 forehands, but 30 backhands. Here's the snippet of the longest rally. That was 37 shots. Lauren, you got the marathon gold medal award for running the furthest. But your partner, Tor, he got the Sprinter Award for being the fastest sprinter. And it's super engaging. It's fun. It's highlights that everyone can engage with. So that's what they're kind of rolling out across their platform. And we see that's happening worldwide with other partners as well.
Wow, how cool is that? I would imagine that inside tennis clubs and the bars afterwards, that there'd be so many great conversations about people proudly sharing their stats and so many big conversations. Do you notice that? Is there a real buzz when people get their hands on their own stats?
I mean, people love this, and it's not just for like elite players, it's for everyone. So it starts to like motivate people before the game, during the game, and after the game. You start to get this type of experience. And we see that it fuels like social conversations, it engages people in the clubs. Yeah. And so we just think it's a really cool new offering to the market as a whole. But then you mentioned the other partnership we had, which was Shark, and they're a really forward-leaning, actually, equipment brand focusing on both pickleball and beach tennis. And in this case, we're actually working with them on a technique coaching analysis app. So there you'll be able to take a video with using your mobile phone of a player and be able to get some tips both on your technique in your game and rolling out in towards racket or paddle or recommendations, so equipment recommendations that can match your game. So they're different use cases, but they're all using computer vision for analysis.
And I was also reading, I think SportAI is being used by broadcasters and equipment brands too. So beyond helping coaches and athletes with technique analysis and those stats, etc., how can your technology be applied to other areas of the sports industry too?
Yeah, we see that to have data on players around the world is extremely valuable for equipment brands. So to understand how people actually either swing a tennis racket, their sort of actual technique, to know how to build the best rackets in the world and to be able to match the player with the right racket in the range. This is extremely valuable for these kind of equipment brands, both for them into their R&D efforts, so to build the best rackets, but also to increase conversion rates and customer loyalty and satisfaction when it comes to that purchase journey. So these kind of racket brands and e-commerce type retailers who want to bring that level of experience to their customers, they are the ones that we are kind of working with in that regard. And this is like, it's a new area, right? It's a new area to get kind of personalized equipment recommendations. And of course, we're talking a lot about the racket sports area now, but you can think so many areas around like what shoes you should be wearing for different types of sports. All of these kind of areas are going to have advancements when it comes to the use of AI.
And as someone that's right in the heart of this space, what would you say are the biggest trends shaping sports technology that you're seeing right now? And how are you positioning yourself at SportAI within this evolving space? Because it feels like quite an exciting moment right now.
Yeah, it's super exciting. I think what AI is kind of opening up is, as we say, this democratization. And that really is the mission of SportAI, is to democratize access to kind of the top level of sports analysis. So things that weren't available before, now just by taking a snippet of video from your mobile phone or putting up a camera, a really affordable camera at your local club, suddenly you can unlock amazing kind of insights, engaging experiences, and new revenue streams for these different businesses. And I think that's what we're seeing. So I see that clubs worldwide will roll out cameras around these clubs that will unlock these kind of engaging experiences, and from a performance and entertaining aspect for their members. And I think you'll see partnerships with large federations, large organizations with younger AI type companies. And it will be these partnerships that will kind of propel this kind of industry forward in these experiences.
Incredibly cool. And what's next for SportAI? Where do you go from here? Anything you can share on what you're working towards in the future, or where you're heading next?
I think we are super excited with the momentum that we're having within this racket sports area. So we're talking to some of the kind of really forward-leaning large like academies and federations in that coaching perspective, but also these kind of camera video platform areas who realize that they are rolling out these cameras around the world and they want to get the maximum value from it. And we are totally kind of focused on being a great partner, integration friendly, to drive those experiences forward. So we are really focusing on these areas. And then you're going to start to see these personalized racket recommendations and things come out. And that's going to be awesome for consumers also to see. So yeah, both coaching, fun experiences, and personalized recommendations, they're all going to be powered by this type of technology at SportAI.
Wow, exciting times. I've been following your story very closely, see how things are evolving. But before I let you go, anyone listening wanting to dig a little bit deeper, find out where SportAI is present in their area, or just find out more information, where would you like to point everyone listening?
Yeah, you can definitely find out more information at us at sportai.com. That's a pretty easy one for you guys. And you can certainly connect with me on LinkedIn as well.
Awesome. Well, I will add links to everything so people can find out more information. If there's any videos out there, I will attach one of those as well so they can see it in action. So many big talking points, especially as we're entering that fun time of year for the tennis season too. I think there'll be a lot of people preparing to hit the courts, wanting to find out more information. But just thank you for sharing your story today. Thanks again.
Thank you for having me.
So a big thank you to Lauren for joining me and sharing the inspiring story behind SportAI. But what resonated with me most is how it isn't about replacing coaches. We're talking about equipping coaches with tools that scale their expertise and bring pro-level analysis to even more athletes than ever before. From real-time movement breakdowns to personalised product recommendations, I think SportAI is showing how AI can be seamlessly integrated into sports in ways that are accessible, empowering and engaging. And as we heard, this is just the beginning. The same principles could soon be enhancing performance in everything from golf swings to basketball throws. I think there's so much scope here, and I think that's a conversation for another day. But I'd love to hear from you. How do you think AI-powered coaching tools could become standard across every amateur sport out there? And how do you see it shaping the future of physical training and fan engagement and everything in between? Let me know. techblogwriter@outlook.com, LinkedIn, X, Instagram, just @NeilC.Hughes. And together we can keep exploring how technology is quite literally changing the game. And on that cheesy pun, I'm going to walk off into the sunset now. I will be back again tomorrow with another guest, but thank you for listening as always, and hopefully I'll speak with you all again tomorrow. Bye for now.